Just tell us more about it.
We need to bring back that, not that means with that, full board.
Right, okay, fix this. Fix this.
Because there's some.
What are we looking for, an earthquake, kind of rift or what?
I've been finding quite a number.
All right, it is now 4 o'clock and I will be calling the Yale Planning Commission meeting to order. Staff, would you please have a roll call?
Commissioner Carlos Perez,
Here.
Commissioner Bob Howard,
Here.
Commissioner John Graver,
Here.
Commissioner Richard Lonsdale,
Here.
Commissioner Ann Warman, here, Commissioner David Johnstone,
Here.
and Commissioner Austin Walker.
Very well, would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We move on to agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to view the minutes? Attached minutes or, yes, everyone? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Very well, the motion has been carried, it's carried and approved. Therefore, the minutes are approved for Monday, was that Monday, May the 20th? No, Thursday,
It was April 15th.
April 15th, right.
Can you ask if all are in favor?
Yes, they're all in favor. I
Okay,
thought we said.
I missed that, then sorry.
All right. Agenda item number 5, city staff communications. Are there any communications?
Nothing major, just to respond to the last meeting we had, and you were talking about wanting to have a better idea of like projects that
Yes.
are underway, because you had been approached by about Circle K and such, so we went back and discussed that, and going forward, you're now on our standard distribution list for any notices of application, so you'll start getting those. Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
But no, when we get applications for development projects now, you will be sent a notice, so you can know what's going on, and then if you have questions, you can ask them before someone asks you.
Thank you very much. Gary.
Yeah.
That's very, very good.
That's all I have for you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 6 for public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that needs to make a public comment? Well, just for the record. For the record, all comments are limited to 3 minutes and 5 speakers. And also comments on matters that are listed are also welcomed. And if there's anyone who wants to comment, ask them to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record. Very well. Agenda item number 7, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business from the last meeting?
No, sir.
All right. It's gonna be fast. Agenda item number 8. New business. Any new business to report, staff?
So again, this is kind of also a follow-up to the last meeting. I asked Pat Hughes, our city engineer, to attend today and to sort of go over the projects that we have underway, capital projects, whether it's roads or other kinds of facilities. We've got a lot going on in the city. And so that's really the meeting today, is just to run through all of the projects that we are working on, see what questions you may have, give you some kind of a status update as to where we are with each of those projects. And with that, I'm just gonna hand it over to Pat.
Okay, well, Brad Chatwood is our projects manager, and he's doing the job that I did for about 6 years, so this is pretty easy hat for me. But I just want, this document that you received, I passed out, is a list of not all, but most of the capital projects that we're currently working on, and they're all in various stages. Some of them are in the planning stage, some of them are all the way through construction and done and open to the public. So all of these are various. So what I wanted to do is look at this so you kind of have an idea of what we're doing and highlight a couple of them that are kind of our bigger, more important projects. So on page one, these are our current street and sidewalk projects. The few that I wanted to highlight for you, probably the two biggest ones are down about 2/3 of the way down there. The Yelm Loop. I know a lot of you are interested in knowing the status of the new Yelm Loop. That is not a City of Yelm project. It is a WashDOT project. But I'm very involved in it as a stakeholder in the City of Yelm. So that project is, technically speaking, it's already under construction. We started last week with the very first utility relocations. They're starting up in the area of Wilkinson, this white dotted line that you'll see there, the big white is the Yelm Loop, and they're starting relocations in this area right in here, because that is the location of a new roundabout. So that's a very complex area. So they're starting with utility relocations there. They are still planning on a January advertisement and bidding for the project for the general contractor. How long the project takes? It's going to take probably the better part of two years. It's a fairly decent sized project. It is going to be bid as one package, although the subcontractor will more than likely elect to subcontract that out.
We're talking just about the relocation of utilities or about the whole
We're
project?
starting a relocation of utilities. There's a lot of utilities in a few locations that will need to be moved. For example, streetlights that are located where another new facility is going to be. There is dry utilities such as gas, telephone, cable, electric, telecommunications that need to be either lowered or relocated because there's new facilities going in there. So these are underway now. There also will be some, what I call the wet utilities, such as water, sewer, drainage that will be done during the main contract. And we have some utilities that will need to be modified as well. So we've been working obviously with WashDOT as to where they are and what needs to be done. So major project by far the biggest project on this list. So I just kind of wanted to update you on that one, where it's at. But I'm sure you've got some questions. Fire away, because this is really why I'm here today.
So you're not talking about any construction as far as pavement and all that is concerned?
That will be bid in January.
So it's concurrent, the relocation and
The relocation of these utilities needs to be done before the general contractor can come in and build the road. Get those out of the way. So these are private utilities. Utilities are owned by, PSE, Comcast, PSE Gas, all those need to be done. So
I think Carlos was asking, the 2-year time frame is not just for relocation of utilities, but for the project as a
correct.
whole.
Yeah,
Yes.
the re-utilities need to be done by November.
Oh, okay, all right, all right,
I'm sorry, I
I
probably.
understand, no, I understand now.
Yeah, and then the contract will be bid in January.
And who's doing that work now?
All the different various utility companies, PSE, Comcast, Intellite, who's the contractor for PSE, street lighting. So all that started now. So you probably will go out there in these areas and see some of that going on.
Pat, for the new loop that's going in, will it be cut into segments to perform it, the construction? And if so, what type of segments might go first? And the roundabouts that go with that?
Okay, and there was some talk originally about breaking this large project up into separate contracts, just to give it to, but it's going out in one large project, although the general contractor that gets the job could elect to subcontract pieces and parts of it out. It probably will, because there's a lot of work that can be done simultaneously. As far as sequencing, the chances are that the most of the work is going to start right down in the Walmart, right around the Walmart store. This is the most complex part of the project. I'll zoom in on that so you can kind of see where that is. This is the intersection of Walmart and Walmart Boulevard and 507. There's a new roundabout will be going in here. It's based on utilities, construction, easements, stormwater facilities. It's by far the most complex part, so more than likely they'll be starting in that area. Traffic will be maintained at all times during construction. It's a very complex phasing plan for that. I think it's like 8 stages. But it's all been figured out how it's gonna be sequenced for traffic. But that's more than likely where they're gonna start.
And there's 2 other roundabouts at least in the loop.
There are 2 other roundabouts. A second one is just north of this location, right up here on Walmart Boulevard at 103rd. That one is going to be located right here. In this area, that's gonna be a new roundabout. This white line again is your center line alignment. And then there will be one at Wilkinson. That's where the loop passes through. The remaining intersections will either be cut off with a cul-de-sac on each end, or there'll be an at-grade crossing. There's very few of those. This is north of 103rd. It's a limited access, meaning there's very few, very limited access to that.
And that complex roundabout at Walmart begins when?
That will be part of the contract that's being bid in January.
In January.
Actual construction, by the time they get the contracts done and all the meetings and everything, actual boots on the ground construction, you're probably looking at April or May. Just
Of 2030.
yeah, I never thought.
There.
Could you zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe if they've seen it. I could probably get to it. There's a really cool flyover video of the Yelm Loop. If you haven't seen it already, that WashDOT has online. If you haven't seen it, I can try to pull it up for you if you're interested, but you want to see that? My best to get it up here. Best whiz at that. But
If you have trouble, we can always email it later.
yeah, that's true. Let's see if I can get this. I think I can get to it. I've got it bookmarked, so I can get to it. State. This is the Yelm Loop time lapse. Gotta watch a commercial though.
It's on YouTube.
I gotta stop it here. You're still looking at the map. Chris, you would ask me to do that.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Stop share the other screen.
Oh, it's probably a good idea. We've got some new members here that may
Yeah.
not have seen that as it was being worked through.
Mhm.
And that they were following this.
The drone video, isn't it? I think I've seen it.
Okay, this starts at Walmart Boulevard, and this shows what the new road will look like as you're going north along Walmart Boulevard.
I haven't seen this one.
And this will be the second roundabout. This will be at 103rd Avenue. And then the road continues north. The next, well, this is Canal Road here, the first crossing of Canal Road. And then shortly as you come up, you'll be, not yet, but you can almost kind of see it up on the top there, the green area. That's Cochran Park.
That cross street is,
Yeah, this street coming up is Flume. It's actually a county road, Flume Avenue, right there. And then there'll be a new spur trail there. You see the little spur trail that cuts off and will be going into Cochran Park. the white area there along the left side of the road, that's a new shared use path that will be on one side of the road, very similar to what is already there for phase one. This is the intersection at Railway. And coming up is the Prairie Line Trail, which will be a tunnel going underneath.
Wow.
As we approach the third roundabout, this is at Wilkinson. That's where utility relocations are starting this week. And you continue to the west. The next street will be Canal Road again, where it crosses. And the next road will be is that road?
Collins.
I think that is Roden.
Yep, that's Road there. That will be a at-grade intersection at Roden Road. And finally, as we get towards the end of this phase two, it will connect up with phase one, which was built some 14 years ago.
So Pat, I have a question about those red lines are basically the right of way we required, right?
That's correct.
Why are they so jagged like that?
Well, because they're taking parcels, they're taking parts of parcels. They take what they need, but if it leaves a little tiny sliver of land that's basically useless for the person that's there, they usually just end up taking the whole parcel. So what that leaves is kind of a patchwork looking. So
Nice.
that's my share on that. And share that. Getting better at this.
Yes, you are.
All right.
I'm impressed.
So on our list, another project I wanted to point out to you under roads and sidewalk is the roundabout that we're building at 507 and Bald Hill Road, known as Five Corners, even though it's only 4 corners. It's also a WashDOT project. This is a project that WashDOT just basically doesn't have the people to do, so they just gave us the money and said, build it for them using their money. And I'm all about that because we have an interest in having that built. So we've just finished the conceptual design stage on that. We selected our top option and we need to meet with WashDOT to get their buy off on it. And once we do, we'll be ready to dive into the design stage on that. I don't have a timeline yet for design completion and construction. But if we have it our way, the design will go through 2025 with construction probably in the beginning of 26. That's my best guess at this point. Other projects on on page one here under street and sidewalks, we just finished. Well, there's a couple of them here I want to point out. The parking lot that's at the bottom where it says parking lot and activated alleyway has kind of been split into two pieces. One of them is a new parking lot located right outside of our building out here. The construction is already underway on that. I haven't walked out there to see if they've broken ground, but the contract has been let, and that is underway. And then
How many spaces will that accommodate?
I don't.
I'm gonna guess 30, 35 in the ballpark. I know there's 2 electrical vehicle slots, charging stations there. So. Also on this list, we're getting ready, the third one down there, the ADA compliance program, we're getting ready to reconstruct 62 of our sidewalk ramps at various locations around the city. That's out for bid right now. Bids are due on the 23rd. That's next Thursday, or is that this Thursday? This Thursday. Wow. So I expect some pretty favorable bids for that because I've been getting a lot of inquiries and there's a large plan holders list. So hopefully we're going to get some good prices on that.
Is that from the change in standards for the ADA compliance?
It's what it's to comply with ADA. We did a survey of all of our ramps and sidewalk ramps over the whole city, sidewalks and ramps, and have selected a number of them that for upgrading, immediate upgrades. We did receive a grant from the Transportation Improvement Board, which should cover 100% of the cost of it, depending on how the bids come in under the estimate that I used to get the grant, or if it's less than, we may be able to do a few more ramps with that money, so. But that's out for bid now.
Just real quick, have you guys been presented anything on the activated alleyway? Are you aware of that?
Well, Bob and I had a meeting which you were not able to attend with, so not everybody else was involved in that, but
With Cody and.
Cody and
Drew.
Drew. So we've got a little update, but I think it'd be helpful to bring in that update to the rest of everybody.
Could you just kind of explain what it is, Pat?
I'll do the best I can because I'm not working on that one, but it's the alley that runs between Washington Avenue and Yelm Avenue. Basically, it runs in front of Tim's Pharmacy down this back alley here. Right next to City Hall, right outside our window, right out here, and continues on down to Third Avenue. The new parking lot's being built out in this area here, just off screen. Right here. So the activated alley will be turned into an alley that's pedestrian friendly. It'll have a lot of amenities in there. It'll really dress it up, look nice. Get rid of the through traffic that's through there. It's intended to put a very heavily landscaped pedestrian friendly.
I think it'll be set up for food trucks and the like, correct? So,
I think that's the intent.
yeah.
I heard from someone of food trucks in a particular area, but that is I don't know the details.
We can come back to the sidewalk and transportation project if you would. I'm just kind of running down some of the highlights on here, but feel free to ask questions. That's what this meeting's all about. Okay. If we could move on to sheet 2, which is park and recreation. Two things on there. 3 of the 4 projects on this are done, which is great news. The Prairie Line Trail, that's the blue one there, the second one down. Phase 2 is completed and open to the public. That's extending the Prairie Line Trail up to just short of the Nisqually River. The next phase, phase 2B, will take the trail from that point to and across the bridge, the existing railroad trestle, which will put it at the edge of Pierce County. Pierce County has plans to take it from that point and extend it to the city of Roy. So this will complete our extension of the trail all the way to that point. Phase 2B, the part that's across the bridge, is under design right now. So that is, that first part is done and open. Our off-leash dog park is open. If you had a chance to drive out there, it's located on Roten Road, just right across the street from the Public Services Building. I noticed about 6 cars out there this afternoon as I left, so it is being really well used, so I'm glad to see that. And then the Second Street sidewalk was built last summer, and that runs from Mosman Avenue down to Cochran Park. So the multi-use path, the top one on there will be, that path will then connect the end of Second Street all the way to Mill Road. The sidewalk currently ends right there at Mill Road, right at Cochran Park on the west side, the west side of the road. Then we will have a full connection all the way from downtown, all the way to the elementary school and middle school there on Mill Road. So that will complete that whole segment. We're planning to build that stretch of pathway through Cochran Park as part of the Cochran Park improvements. So Cochran Park really, as you know, isn't a park. It's our outfall for our water reclamation facility, and we're undergoing some major renovations out there. So exactly what we're going to end up doing is still up in the air because ecology has a lot of say so in what we do and how we do that. But the path will be part of it. That's going to stay. So that will get built once that. There's some facilities projects on here that are kind of exciting. The two that I like to talk about, the City Park Stage, as you know, is done and open. It's in City Park. And the Southeast Reservoir, which is a 1.5 million gallon water tank, water reservoir located out just north of Walmart, 103rd and Avenue. And that is under construction right now. Massive foundation that's going out underneath that, so. That project will be done by this fall. At least the majority of it, all the steel should be at least up, so. So that's under construction.
Were you saying that that pad was like 150 cement trucks?
Yeah, I don't know if you happen to be out that way on Saturday, were you?
I didn't go when there was a lot of construction happening, but driving past it just today, you can see the the form, huge,
It is massive.
it's massive.
It'll all be underground. It's
It's
all done. It'll all be underground. That's the foundation pad to support this tank.
it's huge, so drive past, it's just. You gotta go, oh my gosh. It's-
There's one even bigger than that. It's under our southwest reservoir out there. You have it out there, but you can't see it. It's all underground. So all of our hard work you never get to see, right? So. I can't speak a lot about the Education Innovation Center, although I know this one is in a very early conceptual stage. You might have heard some talk about that. It's intended to house a part of City Hall, maybe perhaps new council chambers, a new Parks and Recreation Department, museum. There's also events that could be held there. There's a lot of ideas being kicked around for that building that right now would be built. And this location just north of the new parking lot. This would be here at 3rd Street and Elm Avenue. And this, some of you might remember the old church that used to sit there years and years ago. So that's the idea of that, or am I wrong? Is that down, maybe they're looking at doing it down here where the museum is. This is one I'm not working on.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been batted around in different locations, so I'm not sure.
Okay. And then the top one there, the Veterans Memorial. We have some property there at the intersection of Mill Road and 507. And we're looking at various ideas of how to move our current Veterans Memorial located at City Park out to a larger, more robust project. So that is the early conceptual design stage right now. If we can move on to page 3, and Ken, we can come back to any of this. The largest one under, this is under water as well, is, as you know, is our water reclamation. Well, let me finish the water first. Our downtown well treatment facility upgrades, that project is done. That was completed just the end of the year, just before Christmas. And the vehicle storage building is a brand new building that we just finished out at the reclamation, water reclamation facility. If you've been over to the Public Services building, this building is an exact twin copy of that building. Same floor plan, same size. The interior is not finished, but the building is up. Exterior is done, roof is on, insulation's in, floor slabs poured. So it can be used right now for temporary storage. Doors, windows are all in. So it's the structure is essentially done. We're gonna go back and add utilities to that. We need to get some heat in there because we're gonna store some of our vehicles in there to keep it above freezing in the winter. And it has the ability to add interior finish like offices and so forth, just like our public facilities building does. So we kind of designed it, laid it out for that option later, should we decide to do that. Let me see. The very top one on sheet 3 is our water main improvements. We have selected this year's water. This is an ongoing thing, as you know. We're always continuously upgrading our water and sewer system, replacing old main, replacing old asbestos cement pipe, upsizing some small pipes. This is just connecting gaps, connecting loops in the system. This is what the 24 project will be. We're on hold on letting that one go right now because of the big cost commitment we have with the Southeast Reservoir.
With the what?
The Southeast Reservoir that's under construction. So we're letting that play out right now for costs because that's a big one. We did not go for any grants or loans or outside funding for that, and I do not want to go out for any outside grants for the 24 well. It's all come out of our water capital improvements fund. At the bottom, under sewer system projects, as you know, our largest project is the water reclamation facility. If you've not been over to the WRF in the last, well, over a year now, the project is moving along very well. It's actually still on schedule. And is more than half complete at this point. The buildings are all up, roofs are on, and they're inside working on interior piping now, so. This $38 million project will pretty much completely rebuild our water reclamation facility. It's being planned for upgrading the quality of the water that we produce, as well as future growth. Because we anticipate obviously some growth in Yelm, so we're planning for the future on that one, so. And then the last one is the Cochran Park improvements that I've already talked a little bit about, so. There is one other project I'd like to mention, back on the transportation part of this. I'm looking at some possible funding right now to rebuild Road Road. So the reason we're looking so closely at the Road Road is that once the Yelm Loop is complete, modeling is showing us that that will become the main route people will take to get into Yelm, coming in from Lacey on 510. They won't, it's the most direct route to get to downtown from coming in from Lacey. So that road we're looking at for basically reconstruction of that. So I'm looking, I do have some federal funding already secured on that, about $1 million worth, but the project is going to cost much more than that. And I have a meeting scheduled this week with the Transportation Improvement Board about possible funding for from their urban transportation fund to help us out with some additional funding to get that going. If that comes through, we could start preliminary design on that as early as this fall. So that's pretty another major project I would really like to see get going. Am I missing anything else?
I know you were gonna do the everything map. That's a different flavor of development.
There is, yes, and that's just our capital projects. We have this map that I have up on the screen. You'll see these colored areas here. That just gives you an idea of some of the development that's going on throughout Yelm. These aren't capital projects, these are external projects. The projects that you see in this brown color are subdivisions. They're single family home subdivisions, basically housing. The green ones are commercial development. There is, oh gosh, what else have I got here? They're new mixed use facility right here off of Tahoma Boulevard. Another office mixed use development here off Tahoma Boulevard. A Starbucks coming in the parking lot of the Yelm Family Medicine. A Circle K gas station convenience store coming in here at Killian. Let me see what moving over.
You don't have the Berry Valley on there, just
The Berry Valley Townhomes?
townhomes.
Oh, yeah, I thought I did.
It's just not colored.
Oh, yeah.
Their color on there, so I didn't know if it's stalled.
Oh, yeah, it's just not color. I just haven't assigned it a category yet. Maybe because it changed. That one's been changing.
Just a heads up on that one, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
You'll probably be hearing more about that pretty soon because we have been working with the developer to do a rezone and upzone to 16 units per acre, and in exchange, he's gonna make 20% of the units there affordable. So it's a little bit of a,
It's affordable.
well, there are different ranges. So they go based on the area median income. And then it's a percentage of for what you could afford is based on a percentage of what the area median income is. So there's like 50 to 80% is considered sort of a certain level of affordable. 30 to 50 is like extremely or low income, and then you've got 0 to 30, which is extremely low income. He's looking at doing, I think, 60% of the area median income. So it would be apartments that would be affordable to someone who makes about 60% of what the folks around them make. Yeah.
So what else can I show you on here? The Habitat for Humanity is building, this is under construction out there at Cullens and Coates. If you've been out that way, there is also, this is over across from the Public Services building. Our new dog park located across from Public Services, a new industrial office building is coming in. This is our WRF upgrades that I talked about a little bit earlier. This subdivision, Crystal Springs subdivision, is under construction at the current time. There is a rather large subdivision coming in here between Railway and NP Road. It's called Shelm Meadows. I don't remember how many homes, but it's on
It's
the
about
order of
95.
95.
They're real, they just all the way through there.
There is an additional subdivision.
Talk about the other power station?
I'm sorry?
Can we talk about the purple power station? I didn't know
Yeah.
we could talk about that one.
Sure.
It's a solar energy power station. Pilot project, is it a pilot project?
It's a bunch of batteries is what it is. Yeah.
And
it's-
they also have the power panels and the batteries.
Solar panels for charging. Mhm.
Where are we at?
This is NP Road. This is Roten Road.
Okay.
This is railway along here.
So that's a project that solar powered to basically charge the batteries. And the batteries are there so that in the event of a power outage, I think we get a few hours of just sort of, it kicks in just like a generator, so to speak, for the area.
Now there's a power station there now, isn't there? That where it is?
Yeah, right in this empty space right here between the two developments, that's an existing power station.
When I had heard, maybe this is, I didn't know whether we were allowed to talk about it, but if we can, it's Puget Power trying to do a pilot to see how one of these things would function. That is with the solar energy and the batteries and the green energy way of augmenting our current power.
So she knows more about it than we do.
Well, they did show us,
Some people.
there are some examples elsewhere that they kind of shared with us, showing us sort of the photographs, what the batteries look like and the layout and all that. But yeah, it's a pretty new type of proposal.
And that whole triangle there is in a flood zone, so you can't build houses on it.
Right.
But you can build this type of a facility that nobody lives in. It's up above the ground.
In there, it's an industrial zoning, is it? Or is that not?
I think that's industrial, I have to look.
Okay.
So half of it's in the flood and half of it isn't. So the battery area will be out of the flood.
It better be.
But the solar area, which is basically things built on stilts, it wouldn't be affected. So that's how we're looking at
I'm
it.
just saying that it's, you're not gonna build houses in that section anyway.
I was gonna ask for addresses for some of these things, but access to that map, how could I access that?
Can they get back our SharePoint site?
I don't know what your access is. I mean, we could probably figure out a way to do a PDF and email it to you or something like that.
Or you could go to the city website and I can put these developments on that map.
That would be excellent.
The one thing though, if we're gonna do that, we want to take off anything that has not actually been applied for. We've got a couple things in there that people have been talking about, but they're not actual.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah.
We would clean it up,
Yeah.
Yeah, it would really be helpful to be able to know where these locations are.
Yeah, sure.
So that I could visit them too. I mean, I drive around and look here and there, but I don't know the physical addresses of some of these places.
Sure. We can figure that out.
Yep. Yeah, this is an internal web map.
I got it.
We'll share it with them.
That's why I was so enthused about that comprehensive plan map that was there, because it showed the UGA and all that stuff, and that was really good. And I don't necessarily need to see an interactive map,
Right.
but something like that that is available to us and to the public to be able to see these different sections, and what's going on in different places.
You have a question?
Yeah, that area on Middle Road, is that the one that was
We
just
just-
emailed to us?
It's there was a development proposal that came through. Coming off of Middle Road and going into that.
Oh, yes, there's one in this property right here. Yep. It's in this property.
Sure, I know that one.
That's a subdivision that they're looking at doing. I'm not sure. It's a single road coming in off of Middle Road. It's a plat coming up here and ending in a cul-de-sac here. I'm on my way. Okay, this is the next.
Zoom in on your house.
This is the next phase of Willow Glen 4, I guess it's currently called. This is a separate development up here which will connect Willow Glen to Canal Road. Both are single family subdivisions, is that right?
Yeah, the one below there, the Willow Glen 4, just went to the hearing examiner and was basically approved at the hearing. There were no commenters or anything, no people in the audience, and so hearing examiner approved it verbally, and then we'll get the written decision probably within a week.
The project, this is Longmire Park up here. This project right across the road from Longmire Park will have one of the lots reserved for the city of Yelm to construct a new parking lot. As you know, the parking issues we've got along Canal Road.
You were out there yesterday, was it? Yeah.
We did a little wheeling and dealing with the developer on that to allow him to use some of the open, to fulfill open space requirements by providing that. We felt like it was providing a need.
What else can I share? Gary, can anything else come to mind here?
What do we got showing down around the Walmart? Is Visconsi on there?
Well, there's a mixed use development down here off of 507. We just got some conceptual drawings on that. A commercial development coming in on the northwest corner of Yelm Loop and 507. Again, that's in the early stages of planning. We haven't seen anything yet from that.
Well, it's odd. I mean, because it doesn't seem like early stages. We've been working with it for a long time.
Yeah,
It would be like 5 commercial lots, as I recall.
a storage facility off of Grove Road. We've received application for that.
What's going on across from Walmart that's that property over to the right?
Down here.
Where they've done some grading.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, so nothing yet. We've talked to them. They have done a little grading. We went out to check it out. They didn't do anything that would require a permit at this point. We're just kind of monitoring it. There's been some discussion about maybe wanting to do some sort of a mixed use thing, but there's no application. It's all just very, very preliminary.
That belonged to 510 Automotive.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I think you're thinking of a different spot. That's where that 5 corners would be, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You're thinking of Peterson.
Yeah, but I don't know if they own it, so I don't really
They
want
do
to
either.
throw out any names, so I don't really know at this point who the actual developer would be on that, but the 510 is. Yeah, the quote 5 corners area.
Could you keep going? I just wanted to see where the end of the loop goes.
Well, this is
Proposed.
this is a conceptual alignment for the Yelm Loop phase 3. at the traffic signal here, which will become a roundabout, will be the end of phase two. And what you see below that is a concept alignment for phase three. Eventually, this will circle the city of Yelm and then tie back into 507 to complete the Yelm loop, the true Yelm loop. This is many years off. But with some developments coming in here, we're working with them to acquire some of the right of way needed for this little piece right along here. So as development comes in, it's our vision to acquire what we can through future development now, so.
Where's the 640, Pat?
640 is way out west here.
There we go. So right now, in fact, they're having a
Position.
meeting right next door to talk about that. The city is contracting with a real estate firm to do, I guess, more or less a marketing analysis of the 640 acres that the city owns.
Yeah.
See, kind of, I guess I call it like, what would be the highest and best use and what makes sense from a marketing standpoint. And you guys may or may not recall, but like in 2008, when we had the crash, at that time, there was a place called, a development called Thurston Highlands that had been envisioned for that, which was a very cool looking master plan community. And so I guess we'll probably be looking to see whether something like that would be the best use going forward, and what the marketability of it would be. But that had homes, it had, I think it had a school, it had like fire department, it had all kinds of things.
Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so,
The area for commercial setup. Village. Up in Seattle. Yeah, it was an amazing project.
but I would guess, Pat, I mean, if something like that would develop, it would go a long way toward getting our southern loop.
Yeah, it would, because this portion of the loop, well, this is the Yelm Loop Phase 3 coming down here and tying back into 507. And then this portion that you see, this big large curve here, is really just an extension of Tahoma Boulevard. It will continue exactly where it goes, how it goes, and how it looks, and where it ties back in. Will all be development driven. Whatever ends up coming in here will will help. A lot of it will determine the look and feel and exact location of that. So, but, you know, it gives us an idea of what where we're going. You have to have a big picture. You have to have some place to point. Are there any other questions on any project? I just kind of ran over the highlights.
One question I have, you're showing projects that are active or funded and such, but there are some projects that are what I call on the list for out there in the future and such. And those are still on the list. They're
Yeah.
just not showing them.
Capital projects you're talking, yeah, there are, you know, we're looking at some intersection improvements at 93rd and West Yelm Avenue. We're looking at what to do with the intersection of Solberg and West Yelm, possibly a traffic signal. We do have some other, what I call problem intersections around town that there's going to need to be some form of intersection improvement done because they're high on our crash history.
I'd like to ask whether or not Second Avenue left-hand turn is one of those considerations.
Second Avenue,
Second
at
Street,
Yelm Avenue.
yeah. But yeah,
Well, actually, that's kind of part of this downtown corridor
yes.
strategy that we're looking at.
I don't know if you've experienced it, but I've experienced it numerous times. Trying to go to First Street to make a left-hand turn, and of course, traffic backs up way back past Second Street. People line up showing they're turning on Second and they're not. They're going forward to First.
Yep.
So if you're doing the right thing and you're in this lane over here, this guy's showing he's turning here, but he's not. And you go and you really want to turn on the First, you go this way, this guy's moving forward, sometime, somewhere, somebody's gonna get hit.
So how do you fix that? That's what we're wrestling with right now.
So that's being worked on. So it's being.
Oh, yeah, and that's part of the whole southeast portion of the downtown, the central business district area. We're looking at some street improvements in there. Washington and Mackenzie, we're looking at turning into a one-way couplet, if you will. Third Street, Fourth Street would be part of that, and some improvements on Second Street. This activated alley that we talked about a little earlier is kind of the first step in that.
Uh-huh.
So we do have a master plan to the southeast portion.
So how does that convert into timeframes? That consideration.
Well, that's a good question, because see, when you're in the planning, you know, you have to figure out what's gotta happen before something else happens. It's a big coordination issue. All I can say is we're started on it. We have some really good conceptual ideas of what we wanna do now. The next step is to turn those into individual projects to get them built.
Yeah, Cody or Brad might have a better idea on that one. I'm kind of on the outside looking on some of these, but I think there's a funding thing there.
Yeah, how you pay for all of this, you know.
Exactly, sure.
So on the capital thing though, and I mean, that is part of what we'll be talking about as part of our comp plan update, because we have a capital facilities chapter. And we've just started talking internally, but there is a 10-year capital facilities plan that goes into the comp plan update. So what we'll be doing is looking at the old one and crossing off hopefully projects that were on there that have been completed. Looking at what remains, and then also what we maybe isn't on the list that we want to put on the list for the future. And that could include roads, general projects like Pat's been talking about, whether it's the reservoir, what have you, parks, all those kinds of things. So we will have that discussion.
The reason it comes up is that we have on a list somewhere a bridge over Yelm Avenue for the trail. And I know that it's on the list because I've seen some lists that have it. But I don't know if it's gonna be on the next 10 years one, or if it was out further than 10 years. And
That's a
then,
good one to talk about. I rode my bike in the other day and I had to just hop on First Avenue to get the rest of the way in.
Yep.
So
it's
that's a big ticket item though.
it's a big ticket item, but has already been planned since we did the downtown plan. So it's those type of things I'm curious, is just like the extra trail connection that comes off of the loop and goes into Longmire. It can't just stop there in the middle of the drainage field. It's got to connect up to where the strollers and such can actually get to the.
Well, WashDOT's gonna bring that little spur up to the property line. They can't build on our land, and, you know, we're not gonna go out there and connect our park to their road, but they can bring it up to the property, and then we can take it from there into the park.
That's what I'm saying, is we need to make sure we still have the project that brings it up onto our land. And, you know, it's the usual thing is, if we forget that one, then we have to go find funding again, and we have to get it done. Because the strollers still end up right at the edge of the park, and then I hear a lot from mothers that are trying to push the strollers that they can't get there still.
I mean, you get mountain strollers.
Well, these are mountains. When you're kind of pushing through the bog.
I'm kidding.
It's just the usual thing of trying to make sure that there's little line items.
Yep.
That
Oh, yeah.
have always been there for the last 10 years. We need to realize, oh, we're finally gonna be able to execute some of these things.
Well, like I told you on this project list, I can't hit them all. There's some, you know, the larger ones here, but there are some improvements along my park that should also on the list. So that could pick up those little line items that you talked about. We've got some drainage improvements out there that need to be done. The parking lot across the street will be a big help to the parking issue along Canal. You know, we're constantly doing upgrades out there. New scoreboard just was installed out there. So it's pieces and parts at a time, but
I feel like that we're finally gonna get a lot of these done, which is gonna be wonderful. And the populations have gonna have grown in the last, this last couple of years and the next 4 years, given the development. And we're gonna need to go really fast with the next round of parks and improvements and such. So we just can't rest on any laurels for very long. At least not where we are now.
Any other questions? Patrick, thank you very much. That was a great
Yeah,
summary.
good.
Really very informative.
Okay, one quick thing, because I think that, I don't think you guys have met Clayton before, am I wrong?
I don't think I've met you all.
Okay, so Clayton Levy is our assistant planner. He and Drew are our 2 assistant planners. He's been here, I guess, maybe 7.5 months, 7.5, 8. And so he'll start also showing up at planning commission meetings. He's been doing a fantastic job, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, then, that being agenda item number 8. We'll now move on to agenda item number 9. Is there any public hearings today? Very well. All right, moving on to subcommittee reports, agenda item number 10. Do we have any subcommittee reports?
I do have something to report.
Okay,
Prairie Line Trail will be officially complete, and there's an opening event for that trail on June the 12th.
wonderful.
And so that's, I believe it's 11 a.m. It's gonna be posted on the Facebook, but 11 a.m. is probably a pretty good time for it. And just recognize that the start of the new section of the Prairie Line Trail is just about at the Centralia Power Canal.
Oh, yeah.
And so to get to the celebratory thing, you'd have to go down the trail a good ways from the parking lot that's off of First.
John? Nope. Nope. Very well, that being the case. We'll move on to agenda item number 11, which is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I seconded.
Very well, motion's been seconded. Do all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Especially Patrick. That was wonderful.
I thought it'd be about an hour.
Yeah.